We in here, man. We in here.
Yeah. Yo. What up, man? What's good?
Chilling, man. Chilling, man. Good to be chopping it up with y'all tonight, man.
Happy to have you on, man. We fucking excited. You're a weirdo, and I want to find out how what. I want to be like, I was telling Sec, y'all, like, this dude's weird, man. I want to find out what the fuck makes this dude tick. So thanks for coming on, bro.
Word, man. Oh, yeah. Always down to chop it up, man.
Yeah, I know a time difference, obviously, that's always an issue. So we both appreciate you coming on. We'll get right into it. Everybody, obviously, you guys don't know, Scvtterbrvin, MC, producer, San Diego. You're in the East Coast now. We'll get into that a little bit. First and foremost, you guys got to check out the new project with him and Orko Eloheim, also known as Orko Psycholic Alien. Let's Take a Trip. It just dropped Monday, right?
Yep.
619, rightfully so, 619.
Yeah, all day, man. I'm gonna do it every year. Every year you'll see me come around 619.
All right, cool, brother. Let's get right into it. Again, Tamal is well, I'm anxious too to kind of get into detail. You know, of who is Scvtterbrvin. So let's start off from the beginning. And Tamal, I don't know if you want to take it because I know you're.
Yeah, I'm chomping at the bit, yo, because I love rocking. I love talking to artists that I fuck with that I don't know anything about. You know what I'm saying? Like this, like, you know, like, and your music is very similar to a friend of mine's in some ways. Just your style, just you're all over the place, yo. And I'm, you know, I like weird, different shit and zany shit and DMT references and stuff. So I need to know. So I always like to start going back. So like, before your brain got scattered, like, where was little Scvtterbrvin? Like, how were you scattering in San Diego? Like, take us back to your first of all, like your San Diego experience. Cause I don't know shit about San Diego. Like, what made you you? That's really where we want to go with this.
Man, I mean, you know, like my brother really was the main catalyst of getting me in all the hip hop shit, man. Like, and what he was doing when he was growing up, I was kind of like 5-6 years younger than him, man. So I was kind of just watching what he was doing and kind of just absorbing it all. You know what I mean? When he started doing like break dancing shit and graffiti and he was rapping and stuff, I was kind of like a little brother, you know, I was his little brother. So I was always kind of hanging around and shit, just soaking it all up, you know? And that's kind of how I was like introduced to Orko and stuff. Orko was already Orko when we moved into like Southeast San Diego, and they had a b-boy crew, and that was like evolving into like what eventually became Masters of the Universe, man. And when all that time, I was like a little kid, man. Like I was just around, dude. I'd literally be like 11 years old going to rap shows because my brother would let me tag along with him, you know what I mean? And that was kind of how I was first starting into like the San Diego scene, man. But like obviously I grew up watching like Yo MTV Raps and Rap City, you know what I mean? And
let's frame it real quick, not to cut you off, just like age-wise, because I always like to, because Sec and I talk about age all the time in terms of like whether it's like someone's born in like 84, 88, it makes a difference. Like, so when was this for you? Like time period, like what, like, you know, what year was this going on?
I was born in 83. So like, you know, from like 9, 10 and up, man, I was already well aware of all this shit. You know what I mean? Like, I remember buying Run DMC, Down with the King, that single and shit. So I'm not sure what year that was, man, but I was already like trying to be into it. You know what I mean?
That was 94 that came out.
Yeah.
94? Yeah, so I was like
trying to frame it. So I mean, that's
yeah. So I'm like 11 years old. You know what I mean? And
for 40, you'd be 40. So I mean, that's like that ain't that in terms of. I mean, so like 90s is your I'm just looking at like trying to frame the base this shit for you.
Yeah,
so
I grew up in the 90s for sure, man, and like watching all that shit unfold, man. I feel like I came up in a good era, man. And like I said, I was having an older brother and shit. I was kind of like years advanced of what I should have been on. I should have still been playing like fucking Ninja Turtles and a lot of things, but I was fucking watching like B-boy park jams. And back then we had like B-boy Summit, you know what I mean? And we had the Gavin convention and the trade shows and all these things was happening in San Diego, man. And I was lucky enough to like catch a glimpse of that type of shit, man. Really like the B-Boy Summits were really, really big impact on me, man. Being able to see like Rock Steady Crew and like all these like original crews, you know what I mean, from New York and all over the world coming into San Diego and doing their thing and having park jams there. And it'd be like a dope weekend type thing. And LA heads would come down, Bay Area heads would come down, New York heads would come down. Like you see Japan heads coming in, and that was a good experience for me, man. And I was really like, yo, I love this shit. You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? Just being a little kid too. I'm like, yo, these dudes is like, they're like, I was seeing like it live, like the shit I would see on Rap City or on Yo MTV Raps or the shit I seen on Beat Street and Wild Style. I was finally getting to see it like in person among people I kind of were familiar with my brother's friends, because them motherfuckers were doing it up already, you know what I mean? They were already like running the city, you know what I mean? And at that time, like I said, I'm like 10, 11 years old, man, and it just, time kept going on. I would just stayed kind of in the mix of it, man, and just like try to figure out what my place would be in that whole environment, you know what I mean? I originally wanted to be a DJ, but I never got turntable, you know what I mean? So I was just lingering around trying to figure out what I'm gonna do, man.
No problem.
Yeah, it's hard to be a DJ with no turntables. But.
Be the air DJ.
So I mean, we've come across, you know, Tamal, myself, a bunch of other people, you know, there comes there's an era, right, where we as hip hop heads, we say, yeah, okay, you know, these are the 4 elements, 5, whatever, you know, right, of the elements, and we dabble in a little bit of all of them, and then we find what we're good at and we go with that, right? Tamal does the dance. I mean, for the most part, anybody that knows me will say I'm an MC, even though I haven't, you know, written anything or put out anything. Did a little graffiti, same thing with Tamal. In terms of elements, I know you say you wanted to be a DJ, but was it always the beats and the rhymes, or did you, and not to incriminate yourself, obviously it's been a while, but did you do a little graffiti? Did you do the b-boy stuff, or was it always the rap shit?
Nah, well, like I said, I wanted to be a DJ at first, man, and through doing that, like my brother's like, well, if you're trying to do that, man, you got to start collecting records. So that was like my first like step into like, okay, if I'm gonna be a DJ, I'm gonna start collecting records. So I'm collecting records and shit. This is me being young, like 14, around 14, 15. I'm starting to buy records, and I'm starting to realize like people are sampling these records, you know what I mean? So in the midst of me trying to be a DJ, I eventually end up getting one turntable, little Radio Shack mixer. But in the midst of that, man, I end up just making beats. I end up just falling into like producing and shit, just to like, my brother once took me to the city college, and he was taking like an electronic music program. And he's like, yo, I'm gonna take you with me to the community college, like studio they got. So he took me there, and I made my first beat in there. He was showing me like, yo, pick some sounds, get the drum sounds. It's like my first venture into even seeing what that is. I'm like, oh, you can make your own beats? Like, oh, cool. So I did that, and then a while later, like my friend had one of those Gemini mixer samplers.
Of course.
They had like, I don't know, it was like it was a DJ mixer, but it had a sampler on it.
Yeah.
And we were messing with that and figured out like, oh, we could loop shit, and we're just like trying to loop drums and different things. And then time goes on, man, is when I really got into is when I got the PlayStation MTV Music Generator. And that was really my start. That was really like, I'm spending all my time trying to produce, you know what I mean? Like, I gotta make beats. Like, yo, I gotta figure this out. Like, it was like a video game, but it was like just way more than that. So that was really my start of like the producing. You know, producing ain't really considered an element in hip hop, but it's like, it really is. You know what I mean? It never really got, I don't know where it fits in the whole elements thing, but like producing, you know what I mean? That was really my thing.
I think it falls in, and this is a hot topic amongst us, but I think it falls somewhere around with the DJ.
Yeah,
even though it's not a core element. But okay, so you brought up producing. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I was going to ask you on, and shout out Orko. I don't know if he's still on, but Orko came on. I was going to ask you about you providing a beat for this album right here, NMS album.
Yeah.
And my understanding is that beat you provided Big Just and Orko was done on the PlayStation. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That's insane.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was making beats. So like I got the PlayStation and I'm like, I'm getting the hang of it, you know what I mean? And I'm starting to like, I figured out how to sample on there. And I'm like, okay, now I'm moving. Now I'm like, let me get my style. Let me try to just make something dope to like maybe some of my brother's friends will want to rap on one of these one day. You know what I mean? So
Wait,
I'm working
hold
on
up. Hold up. So like, how like I'm not the most video game savvy, but I only had a PS1. Like, how the fuck you make beats on a PlayStation?
Yeah. So like, man, MTV, it was a MTV game. It was pretty much set up like how Fruity Loops or like a beat making program was, but it was on the PlayStation, man. You pop it in and it had drum sounds and like piano sounds and all kinds of different stock sounds and shit. And it was like a step edit, step sequencer where you're like dropping the kick on the one, putting the snare on the two, and adding in your hi-hats and you're layering shit. And it's and then they had shit where you could make little videos for it, little like visualizer type things. I never really got into that, but they had that option on there, man. But it was like you could make beats on that bitch. Like you had drums on there, and then eventually I ended up figuring out you could sample on there.
What?
And that's when, yeah, it was like there's like a menu, and then it had a disc icon. So I'm like, yo, what's that? I click on it one day. This is after me having this shit for like months, and I'm just like, what's this button do? I go on there, and it's like insert CD, like eject game and insert CD. So I'm like, what's that mean? All right, let me try it. I pop in a CD. It was like a fucking Rough Rider CD and shit, Rough Rider Volume 1. So I popped that in, hit record on something. Oh, that's the thing. And then I noticed there's a record button. You know what I mean? I'm like, a record? So I hit record and shit. And then I realize I'm like, I go back into my little sound menu and shit. And it says like recording 1, recording 2. And I was like, what? I click on one and I put it on one of the pads like I was doing with the drums and shit. It was like on the one or whatever. And I realized, I'm like, wait a minute. Like,
you're fucking sampling.
Yeah, I'm like, this
That's
is sampling.
crazy shit, yo.
And I'm like 16 at the time. Like I'm in high school and shit. And I'm still trying to like, I'm already like full on hip hop head, bro. Like I fucking just was listening. And that was in the right era. You know what I mean? 94, 95, 96. I'm already like deep into the shit, but I can't figure out why my beats don't sound like, you know what I mean? Like my beats sound like mad electronic and like they don't sound like that raw shit. So I ended up feeling like I cracked the code. I'm like, cause like I said, at the time I'm already collecting records. So I'm like, oh shit, now it's time to record these records onto my external CD burner, then pop that into my PlayStation, and then boom, then I'm running from there. Then it's like, oh, I got samples now. Now my shit got like Herbie Hancock samples. You know what I mean? I'm sampling Bob James all of a sudden. I'm fucking, you know what I mean? I'm really digging in my crate so I could pop them in my PlayStation. And I was doing that for a while, and I started kind of like, I started kind of getting my little sound going, and eventually like a year or two goes by, and Orko's already Orko. He's doing his thing. He got that line. He starts pretty much letting us know like, yo, man, I'm about to do an album with Big Just, and it's just like, oh shit. And then when I kind of slide him a CD, some beats and shit, and he's like, yo, Just wants to rock that beat. Who did that beat? You know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit, that's my beat. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, what? He wants that? Like for real? Because when Company Flow came out, bro, like I was a kid, but we had that shit. Like Population Control single, like Info Kill, them shits was fucking ringing in San Diego, bro. Like it was ringing, bro. Like it was the raw shit out. So for years to go by to be like kind of have that like a way into that somehow, like working with him, and I was like, yo,
that's
and
dope.
that shit just comes out. It's kind of just like, yeah, it's all like fucking Orko, man. He really looked out, and I think another thing that caught Just was like, you made that on the PlayStation?
Well, that tricked me the fuck out.
You know what I mean? Like, who is this?
That tricked me the fuck out because you think, and Tamal, I don't know if you've heard it, but that album is very obscure. I mean, it's not, you give it to surface hip hop head, they'll probably throw it back in your face like, what the fuck is this? And it takes a long time to understand it. But here's a question, just kind of stem off of that. I don't want to, I want to talk about a lot of the stuff, but I have a question for them. So what was it? And maybe you can get into more of the Masters of the Universe foundation, because I'm assuming this is what you're going to say. What made you go that route in terms of that sound? Because that sound is not, you brought up Rough Riders. So I'm assuming you were listening to that kind of stuff too. Yeah. And, you know, in the 90s, you know, you had the boom bap and, you know, started getting into the mainstream. What made you, what influenced you to go with that sound and the sound that you eventually have now?
Yeah, it was really, like I said, just growing up with that, man. Like I came up while they're creating their, like Orko's doing this thing, my brother's doing this thing, Masters Universe is doing their thing. Like I'm right there kind of like, man, I want to be a part of this somehow. Like and rapping at the time just didn't seem like even like possible, bro. Like it just didn't, like, yeah, there's no way you could do that. You know what I mean? But maybe you could DJ, maybe you could do that. And then when I get into the beats and stuff, it was just the sound they were doing. It was like I grew up on the same music they were probably listening to. You know what I mean? So we had the same influences. On top of that, I got them as an influence too. On top of that, I'm listening to like Dr. Octagon. I'm listening to Cold Flow. I'm listening to like all these like crazy like underground type things. But I don't know if it was really considered super underground at the time. It was just what it was.
It's what it was. Yeah,
just hip hop. It was just what was out. And yeah, just wanting to kind of work within what they were doing, man. It kind of made me like, this kind of sounds like what they're doing. Let me try to like make something similar to what they're doing. And then I fully couldn't match what, you know what I mean, what some of the homies were doing, man. But I was just like, let me just keep at it, man, and just keep doing this stuff. It's just like listening to like those certain like jazz fusion records and listening to like, you start listening to more like psychedelic rock type shit, and it's just like, yo, I like that sound. You know what I mean? Like I like how their shit sounds, man. I like the instruments they're using. I like the drum styles they're using, and it was kind of just like trying to fit in, you know, trying to fit in with that and staying, because that's all my favorite shit. Like listening to like Gangstar, Mobb Deep, like Tribe Called Quest, De La. When you're listening to them and discovering what they were sampling too, you're like, oh, like everyone's kind of listening to the same things, you know what I mean? So let me get the foundation right too, and just spin off and try to not really duplicate it too much, but trying to pay homage still, you know what I mean?
That's a good point.
Trying to pay homage, but not like duplicate heads, and try to have my own spin on it, man. And sometimes it's about like getting away from the shit you kind of do want to duplicate, man. Like someone like Dilla, like I'm a big fan of Dilla, but you can't tell it in my music, man, because I'm like, bro, I don't want no one to think I'm biting Dilla. I'm gotta go left. You gotta take that inspiration and take it somewhere else. You know what I mean? You can't just, I'm inspired, so I'm gonna sound just like you, like, and that's kind of.
Yeah, that's dope. So, so like, let's keep going left, because like your music is left as fuck, and like a lot of this shit, your references, the DMT shit, the new album's named Let's Take a Trip. I mean, like, so if someone found your music in a bottle in 100 years or some shit in a time capsule, like what would you be trying to express? You know what I mean? Like what made you, like what's some of the stuff that really influences your music and the shit you say? Because there's like some I'm a little bent right now. So there's some wild shit. I can't like grab, like I would like, yo, what the fuck did this cat just say? I get, oh, what the fuck did this cat just say? So like what are some of the things growing up or just influences music wise, pop culture, whatever, that just made you be so different? Even though you fuck with Dilla and all that stuff, like you went really in a different direction.
Yeah, man. It's just the type of art I was into, I think too, man. Like a lot of the, like, I feel like I'm influenced a lot by art, like MC Escher, Salvador Dali, like Hieronymus Bosch,
okay,
Pablo Picasso. And when I first started really trying to write rhymes and shit, that was the stuff inspiring me, man. Like, cause like I said, but I mean, obviously I'm inspired by like other dudes like Big L and things like that. And but you want to kind of try to take it a little away from it. You know what I mean? So I was really deep on that shit, like really looking at these Salvador Dali paintings and really looking at these MC Escher paintings and be like, yo, what the fuck is that? Like, and I'm like, yo, I gotta use that energy in my music. You know what I mean? Like the surrealism, like the super reality of things, of like using your imagination. You know what I mean? Having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like tapping into some of your like childhood imagination and just saying, drawing, like sometimes like now, like I'll see my son draw something. I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? He just made some shit up. And I'm like, yeah, keep doing that. You know what I mean? Keep using that, man. You create something.
Use that.
Put it out there that wasn't there. You know what I mean? And that's like,
use that imagination.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of try to like want to hold on to, of like, that's why I might reference some things or make up some like a crazy scenario or something. I'm just like, yeah, dude, it's just part of my imagination. I wanted to bring it to life in the song. And you know what's crazy? Sometimes you bring these things to life on the song and it actually comes to reality sometimes. You know what I mean? Like, it's a trip. I might say I was doing something and just completely made up a scenario, and then it actually happens. And I'm like, oh shit. Because you realize it's like powerful.
Existence.
Yeah, it's like the power of just putting it out there. And that's like, I want to have fun with that type of energy. Of like the same thing, like I'll be looking at like a Picasso painting and I'm like, what is that? You know what I mean? And it's like, well, he created that, you know what I mean? So now that exists. Now that whole world exists because he took it there. And those are big inspirations, man. And I don't want to act like I wasn't inspired by like other rappers and shit. I ain't trying to even put it out there like that. I'm definitely inspired by like Gangstar, Nas, like NWA, like all the greats, man. Like I still listen to all that stuff, man. It's just you got to kind of throw in different things into the recipe. You got to have different ingredients, man. Otherwise, everyone's cooking with the same seasoning. You know what I mean? Like,
well, you said it best. I love it, and I'm probably going to use it as a clip. You said you're trying. You kind of stood back and make sure you had the foundation right, and then stepped in and added. That's beautifully said. Let me ask you this, because you're talking about paintings and all that, which kind of, I was talking to Tamal earlier. All your albums have, all right, let's put it this way. Not to say one is more better than the other or vice versa, but you pick up an album, for the most part, you're going to see the artist or the rapper right in front of the cover, possibly even flossing a chain or a car or, you know, something to that effect. Your shit, you mentioned you're inspired by artists and paintings. Every one of your albums that I've seen has been like, what the fuck is that? Like, what? Theater for the Absurd, your Paradise Hell. I mean, everything is obscure.
Those shits look crazy, yo.
It's crazy. And so my question is,
madness.
I understand your lyrics and your beats are important. How important is or are the covers to these projects, and do they serve a purpose on the theme of the album?
Yeah, sometimes they do. Like, in particular, man, like this new project, Let's Take a Trip, I had the artwork. I made the album to the artwork. It was like something I never did for this particular one. But like in general, man, yeah, you want the art to stand out and kind of reflect the music. It's like when you be record digging and shit, you see some dope artwork, you're gonna pull that shit up like, hold on, is this it? Is this one of them ones? You know what I mean? So I kind of want that to be how my shit comes when you see mine and you're looking through the catalog and you're scrolling through CDs and you're like, wait, what's this? I never heard of it, but the artwork looked kind of crazy. Maybe the music might match. You know what I mean? So you definitely want to have something to stand out on the art, man. Like a lot of times, sometimes I do my own artwork, or I'll just tap into different artists, and I want it to be something. Somehow it just connects, man. Like it's no real like game plan of like, yo, okay, I want my album cover to be this. I want it to be this. I'm kind of just brainstorming, and sometimes I'll see a piece of art and I'm like, that's my cover. Like, yo, man, let me get that. Like, yo, how much you trying to charge me for that artwork? Or it's things like that, man. Or sometimes like the Madness and Murder, the volume 1, like my homie Serge, I think he did that artwork after hearing the album and shit. And he kind of drew that one up for us, and I was like, yo, yeah, that's dope. Like, hell yeah.
This one?
But then, yeah. See, that was That was the original cover I made to that. It was like a painting. Someone else painted that, and then my homie came and kind of did his own rendition of it after
I
hearing
saw
the
that.
album. He was like, I'm gonna flip it, you know what I mean? And I was like, oh shit, no. And yeah, I feel like artwork real important, man. Like you should take it kind of serious. You know, I see some people don't really take their artwork serious, and it kind of makes you not take the music serious. You're like, yo, if he coming half-ass on his album cover, like how deep
Right.
is he getting with the writing and the beats and the mixing? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, the reason why I asked, two reasons. One, because that's how I came across your music, simply based off the cover. And Tamal and I have talked about that. It got to the point where I was super bored. This is in the 90s. Super bored with music because it was all, I mean, it got to the, no disrespect to anybody, but it got to the No Limit shit where it's like everyone had the same album cover, right? The big baller shit, the cars, and it was all Photoshop. And I'm just like, yeah, I kind of know what I'm going to get. So I started branching out and just buying shit just really on the strength of what the album cover looked like. And that's how I came across with your shit. But on top of that, your covers, right? You can say like, yo, that's one or two things. The album cover is whack. And then you hear it and the beats and the rhymes are dope. And you're kind of like, well, you kind of were lazy on the cover. Or you can say, shit, that cover is dope. And the content of this album matches that cover. So it's a complete package. I think people these days, it's like, let me just push out the music. Fuck what it looks like, because now it's all streaming, but you guys keep it fresh with the merch. I mean, you got physicals and shit. How do you stay up on, how important is that to stay up on merch?
Man, very important, man. Like very important, man. Cause I'm from that old era of like going to the store and buying that physical copy, man. I'm like wanting to hold it, wanting to open it up. Like, so I know a lot of people that support my stuff are into that same thing too, man. And I just always felt like I gotta make merch, man. Like I always gotta press a CD. I gotta try to do cassettes. I gotta do something, have stickers, do shirts. Like it's just for other people too. I'll be looking like, why don't you got merch, bro? Like, and that's kind of how I got into helping a lot of other artists, man. Through with RLK, like I would hit up, I would discover some of these artists, man, and I'd be like, yo, you're dope, man. You got any CDs or tapes or anything? And they'd be like, nah, just buy the download. I'm like, and I'd be like, you're kind of missing out on money, man. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
money to be made, absolutely.
That's a stream of income right there. And there's a lot of these artists that are doing pretty good in the underground right now, man, where it was literally, I was the one talking to these guys behind the scenes of like, press up some merch, man. Like you guys are too dope, because I feel like there was a certain time in this new generation, like all these new artists, where not everyone was pressing up CDs or tapes or vinyl and stuff, man. And I was really trying to encourage a lot of people to like, yo, man, like fans really like having the physical, man. Like I know it's convenient and takes less money to just throw a digital up, throw it to streaming, throw it on your Bandcamp, but it's still like, the full experience isn't there unless you got the physical, man. You know what I mean? You can hold it, pop it in the CD player, throw it on your record player, put it in the tape deck, man. And that's how I grew up, man. So I'm just kind of trying to carry on the tradition of that, man, and not let my catalog be missing any physical copies, man. Like I want my stuff to all be out there, and like that is like damn near the most important to me, man, to where you're confident in putting money into pressing it up, man. Because some people don't really don't be confident that they're gonna sell their merch and stuff, man. But I think everyone can, man, if they really push it, man. So like,
yeah, you guys stay consistent. I mean, Tomo, I don't know if you have another question, but let me just based off of what the merch. I know you say you reach out to others and help, just kind of push them. Cannibal Ox, the Cold Vein album, you guys pressed that up, right? It was a limited run. How'd that happen?
Yeah, well, I had worked with Vast a few times through my boy Proven. He kind of linked us up. Yeah, and that was the homie when I was living in the Bronx. He's like, yo, I'm about to come through with Vast. And I was like, for real? I was like, all right, like, pull up, you know what I mean? And from there, like, they worked on a bunch of music, and they put out like 3 CDs together, and I did a few tracks with them. I did a few tracks. I'm not sure exactly how many, but I did a few with them, and I just kept cool with him since then, and he dropped a project called Live from the Airport, and I mixed and mastered that project, and I produced the intro track on there too. And I had hit him up of like, yo man, let me press up tapes of that. You know what I mean? Like, let me, because I kind of felt I had a part of that project. Like, I mixed and mastered it. I did a beat on there. Like, let me put out a tape. You know what I mean? And that's all I was trying to do was that project. And he's like, "Yo, why don't you do Cold Vein?" And I was like, "What? Bet." I'm on it. You know what I mean? Like, I'll press that up. You know what I mean? Like, let's do it, man. Like, so yeah, it was just kind of just like that. It was kind of a quick little conversation. And he was just like, "You trying to do that one?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm trying to do, what the fuck? That's one of my favorite albums, man." Like, Cold Vein that was another one of those projects, man. It was like, that was influential, man. Like, I remember back in the day trying to bite some of those beats as a kid. You know what I mean? Like,
well,
I need to.
Production itself. I mean, it kind of reminds me. It reminds it's your style. It's LP, obviously. It's Cool Key, Dr. Octagon. I mean, it's all over the place, and the production for that time. Let's be honest, hip hop was in a state of emergency, or rap music was in a state of emergency. I mean, I wasn't buying shit at that time. Jamal, you said you were off the grid around that time, the Def Jux era.
No, after that, I was around for the Def Jux shit.
Got it.
Afterward. One thing I want to get into. So, Sec put me on to the Dirty ACG's joint last week, and I've been banging that like every day.
Oh yeah.
Every day since last Wednesday. But in the beginning of that joint, you got a comment. You say too weird for the street, too street for the weird. So explain that a little bit further, where you were going with that.
Yeah, that was the name of the project. It was called Too Weird. It was a spinoff of Hunter Thompson, man. He got a saying. He said he got a quote where he's like, "Too weird to live, too rare to die."
Right.
And like he's another big influence on me, man. Like Fear and Loathing and all that stuff. Like, that was an inspiration on me. And but that just felt like that described me, man. Like you said, bro. Like, you're like, yo, you weird, and like, yeah, you know what I mean. But it's like, when I fuck with people and like we're chilling and we're doing stuff, they don't know nothing about me. They can just feel like they could tell, like, yo, you kind of been around in the hood, you know what I mean? Like, yo, like you ain't really one of these square dudes, you know what I mean? Like, you're on some weird shit, but like you've been around shit, you can tell, you know what I mean? So that's how I felt like when I'm around people. It's like when I'm around some street type people, I'm like the weird one. But if I'm around a bunch of weirdos, I'm like kind of a little too street for them dudes. You know what I mean? Like, they're kind of like, you ain't as weird as us, you know what I mean? Like, you got that Southeast San Diego in you, you know what I mean? And that just, I feel like that's really where I'm at, like, in general, man. Like, I'm too weird for the street, but I'm too street for the weird, you know what I mean? And I'm in a weird in between, man, but they're both part of me, man. Like, all that shit is like, it's just how I grew up, you know?
When did you, when and why did you move out east? You live in New York, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York now, man. Just my baby mom's originally from New York and shit, and we're living in Dago, and we're like, yo, let's try living out there for a bit, you know what I mean? And just to switch up the environment. And yeah, I've just been here since, man. Just maintaining, raising my kids, and trying to still keep active, man, and just
liking it.
It's cool, man. Yeah, no, I like it, man. I like it. I'm trying to definitely make more moves out, be in the city a lot more, man. You know, like all the pandemic stuff kind of slowed up the whole rhythm of being out a lot, and I kind of got a little more comfortable just really being inside. You know what I mean? But I'm like, I got to get back out, bro. Like, I got like y'all were talking about that Souls of Mischief show, man. I wish I went to that, bro. Like,
yeah, that was crazy. Yeah, that was crazy. I didn't know you was out in New York until Zach told me recently. But yeah, that's dope. So we have to link up. You ain't that far, so work. No, that's dope.
Yeah, man, I've been out here for like almost about 9 years. About 9 years. I'll just be laying low, man. I just be with my kids, man. But once they go to sleep, I'm like chopping drums, writing rhymes. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So you know what's funny with MCs, rappers, right? You get a lot of shit talking that it's at the end of the day, it's entertainment, right? I can't sit here and say like, yeah, I listened to NWA. None of those dudes were killing anybody or anything like that, right? Even though they're saying all this shit. With you bring up constantly, and it's a play on words in terms of RLK, right? Red Lotus, but you also you constantly bring up real low key and use that as a metaphor, right? Real low key like USSR spies, real low key like Hussein's dad, something like that, right?
Yeah.
Right now that you say you lay low, I mean you legit try to lay low, and that's why you always bring it up real low key.
Yeah, that's part of the repertoire, you know what I mean? Even when I was in San Diego, man, like I wasn't the dude at every show, man, but I'd be around, you know what I mean? But I try to go under the radar, man, you know what I mean? I ain't really trying to be like the center all the time, man. So yeah, that's part of it, man.
Music though, like here's the thing, like, and this is funny, it's always people like this, like you may be real low key, but your music is not low key. You know what I'm saying? It's not.
Yeah.
And it screams a lot of different shit to a lot of different people. Like, yo, you be getting me hyped, son. Like, I mean, like, he was like, yo, riding on, what do you say? What you say? Riding to Spanish Harlem on ATVs. Like, because I'm picturing that shit. And I'm like, you know, the dirt bike scene is crazy in New York, of course. So, right? Like, so it's like, yeah, man. Like, it's fucking, so your music is not low key, even though and it's always artists and people like that, it seems like, that are like, you know, kind of, you know, flying under the radar, but the shit they put out is like,
yeah, it's
you
like,
gotta have people's heads exploding, you know, like, and then you just back in the cut, like chilling. And
yeah,
shit, like, you know what I'm saying?
nah, it's like, it's really like, it's kind of like the same thing with Too Weird for the Street, Too Street for the Weird. It's like a duality, you know what I mean? It's like yin and yang. Like, you got to bring a balance, man. Like, that's just how I kind of live, of like trying to balance things. And yeah, that's how it be. Like, it'll be like I'm low key in the pad, and then the music's like, it's just like flooding, and I'm trying to get in your face through that. You know what I mean? I don't necessarily want to be in your face all the time in the street like that, or at shows like that.
Yeah.
But you can't
Like,
do
here's
that.
just go, leave me the fuck alone, and just go be happy with my crazy wild shit.
Yeah, you know, yeah.
I'll give you some wild shit to think about for like until the next wild shit comes out, and I'm gonna be pulling out.
Yeah,
So.
nah, for sure, man. Yeah, that's how it is, man. I feel like that's how I keep my balance, man. I'm just, because I'm so chill. Like, I got all that energy in me, but I can't. I gotta try to like center it and push it through different ways, man. Right. Otherwise, I'll be wilding out doing dumb shit, probably. You know what I mean? If I didn't really know how to master my energy.
Word.
Yeah.
You know?
So I got a question. Obviously, with you and your brother, right? So this is what I like about it, because you say like, okay, I got a crew, and let's say you got 5 MCs, and they come out, and you, with the exception of like Wu, Souls of Mischief, or Hyro, especially Hyro, each individual artist with that camp has completely different styles. But for the most part, when a camp, a crew, a group comes out, you can kind of tell, all right, he kind of bounces off that other person. He sounds like this, or she sounds like that. With you and your brother, you would think you guys would have either the same flow, the same content, but I notice, and everybody notices, obviously, with Odessa, it's a lot of, even though he can get, you know, on some street shit, it's a lot of, you know, power to the people. You know, you talk about guerrilleros and zapatistas and all that, and it's on some, you know, pump your fist shit for the most part, not everything. And on your joint, you come out with you tell people you're gonna spit a 16 with an M in front of it. So if you just M16, right? We catch that shit. How do you guys how do you not have the same style and approach?
It's kind of like I was saying, man, like my biggest influences and things like that, I try to go left of. You know what I mean? Like my brothers, that's my big brother, man. I love my big brother so much, but I'm like, I can't just be just like him. You know what I mean? Like, I gotta stand out.
That's dope, because nobody fucking does that shit. You know what I'm saying? Nobody, not to cut you up, nobody does that shit though anymore. You know what I'm saying? In fact, that's your fucking partner. That's your man. That's your fucking man, right?
Yeah.
Just,
yeah, because I'm like, I gotta kind of go left.
For a minute.
Yeah, I gotta kind of go left from him because I'm like, I don't want to be in a shadow of my brother, and I don't want to be compared to him like that. Even though people are still gonna compare us with brothers, but like you said, you could tell we're different. You know what I mean? But in general, like we like the same music, we like the same TV shows, we like the same sports teams. Like we're pretty similar in everything. But when it comes to that, it's kind of like since he was already rapping for so long before I started, I kind of had more of an advantage to plot out how I'm gonna really start. You know what I mean? Of like, okay, when I try to come in, let me do it. I could come in with more strategy versus like I wasn't just out the gates running, rapping everywhere, trying to find myself in the scene or outside. I was kind of like, I was like real low key back then too. Of like, okay, let me think about this because this is like I've already been down with this crew, but as a producer. So when I was trying to recreate myself, kind of just go in a different direction. What I was doing, I really had to like plot it out right. Of like, yeah, I can't just be a carbon copy of my brother, you know what I mean? Or I can't just be a carbon copy of Orko, or I can't be a carbon copy of other people from my crew. Like I gotta find my own thing, and I was just trying to transmit how I was living, which was kind of like that, the too weird for the street, too street for the weird. Like I'd be in the hood, like I'd be kicking it with like be in a studio full of like 15 Bloods, and then the next day I'd be like on the beach frying with some hippies, you know what I mean? And it'd be like, I'd be like, oh, okay, this is me. Like, yo, this is actually, let me try to like start channeling this of like, this is how I'm living. It's not like a made up character. It's just how my friends are, who they are, and I'm hanging out in different parts of town, and I'm you know what I mean, experimenting, doing different things, doing different psychedelics, and just getting into random ass shit in my city, and that's how it'd be. Like that was really the contrast of it. Like I'd be in Southeast San Diego, and then I'd be in Ocean Beach, I'd be in downtown, and I'd just be in all these different areas, and it'd always be that same thing. Like it'd be like I'd be like around some hippies, or I'd be around some gangsters, or I'd be around some graph writers, you know what I mean? Or I'd be around some hip hop shit, and it was just a mix of that, man. And I felt like I was just constantly having all that within how I was living, man, and just let me transmit this energy somehow. Try to somehow show that like I'm on some hip hop shit, but I'm not like I'm obviously like I'm from Southeast San Diego, man. Like I grew up, and I gotta kind of have that like that energy is always gonna be a part of it, man. And then but on the flip side, I'm always gonna have that energy of like, yeah, bro, like I was eating mushrooms with hippies over here and trying DMT at the beach, and you know what I mean. And then I can go right back to the hood, and you know what I mean, and just
work.
Not being able, part of it.
Yeah, it's important, yo. I think it's dope because it resonates with me, like just in terms of being able to just rock with different people and just experience different shit. Like you become a well-rounded person, man. Like moving a lot of ciphers and be comfortable, and you know, so it's chameleon shit, and that's dope, yo. You know what I mean? It's not just like you're the Southeast San Diego dude. It's like you just rep that. That's all. You know. That's Or you're not just the weirdo dude. I'm like, oh, he's weird, but yeah, you fucking weird, but don't get it twisted. I'll fuck you up though. Like, I get it.
That's how it be, yeah. And it's like there's a lot of people like that too, man, that know exactly what I'm, you know what I mean? Like have that same exact come up that not even were from San Diego. They were living like that in LA. They were living like that in San Francisco. They were living like that in Queens. You know what I mean?
That
like,
was me at home. Yeah, I mean, I started listening to like Smashing Pumpkins and Stone Temple Pilots in college, and you know what I'm saying, got put on to some different shit, experience. Also, yo, Sec, you got to get into. We got 12 minutes. If you want to get into that.
Let's get into it. And we try to do this organically, but there's a bunch of things that I want to ask you. I mean, I would love to pick your brain about all your albums and all that, but two things we want to get into. First and foremost, we want to talk about the new project, but let's keep that the last question for now. I have a question. So in the midst of, several, in the midst of questions of like, yo, who started hip hop? Were Latinos involved? Black people, brown people, white people, whatever the fuck. And it has a place in its own, its own right or whatever. But you are Filipino and Mexican, right? So being you don't normally see that in hip hop, right? Especially as an MC. I mean, shout out to the Filipino scene when it comes to DJs and b-boys because it's heavy. Nobody really talks about that. But do you, in your come up, did you get? Were there any obstacles that you faced being Filipino and Mexican? Because you'll get it one or the other, but being both, I'm assuming you hit obstacles or no?
It's weird, man. Like in San Diego or like Southern Cali in general, man, it's like it's pretty mixed, man. It's pretty diverse, and yeah, sometimes you step through and people are like, "Hey, wait, you rhyme?" You know what I mean? Like, but people can't really tell what race I am. Like, they don't really know. They're like, "Are you Mexican? What are you? Like Filipino, Samoan, or some shit?" Like, you know what I mean? People don't really know, but you got to just let the work speak for itself, And I usually could come out of a situation like that with some respect. You know what I mean? And just like, okay. You do your thing, and I mean, I've had situations where it's like, oh man, you can't. But like once you get the chance to show your work and what you do, man, it just you kind of break through barriers, man. Like hip hop is like that, Like it kind of lets anybody kind of step into it and let you see if you could come correct with it. Do you respect the culture? You know what I mean? So. That's I feel like I've always kind of showed that I had respect for the things and how I come and show like, yo, man, I ain't half-assing it. I wouldn't even come through if I was gonna half-ass it, man. So yeah, I think being from Cali, Southern Cali in general, man, it was like so pretty diverse, man, to where there was always like different cultures and races involved in the hip hop scene in San Diego, man. It was always pretty mixed, and it always felt kind of open for me.
Good.
By the time I started doing my thing, it felt kind of like, everyone could be accepted if you have skills. You're treated like if you're trash, you're trash. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. It don't matter what color you are.
Word, no, that's dope. That was your experience. I mean, in the end, for the most part, it is right. It's about skills. You know what I mean? Like hold it down, fucking. Like. At first it may be some shit, but it's like that in a lot of ciphers, like with shit. Some you come in like, who's this? And then, whatever it is. But, in the end, if you're nice, you're nice. If you're not, no matter if you fucking, doesn't matter at all. So
yeah, you let skills speak for themselves.
Word.
And a lot of people try to turn it into that. My question wasn't towards that. I didn't want to bring up some shit. I was just curious because I know people pull that card, like, yeah, this dude or that girl or right off top, even females, like a lot of males don't fuck with female rappers, or even like US heads won't fuck with like UK MCs, even though UK has some dope ass MCs, and it's basically just off of the accent. Jamal and I were just talking about that, but what dope is dope. Let's get into, because we have what, like 8 minutes. Let's get into the new project. So again, let's take a trip. Orko Eloheim, also known as Orko, or used to be Orko the Psychotic Alien. Hopefully he's still on. And Scvtterbrvin. Now, I'm not even going to ask how this album came about because y'all run with the same crew. But was this something spontaneous? Were you working on it? Is there more in the bag? And just talk about the new project.
Yeah, so like I said, how it really started, man, was this. I had the artwork already. I had this artwork. Like I got the artwork from this artist, and I was just like, man, this is dope. Like first I was just trying to make merch with the artwork, and I was like, damn, this could be a cover, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, let's take a trip. And like a while back, Orko had sent me some beats. Like he did it a couple of times where he sent me a couple of beats, and I rocked one, and I was gonna use that for another project I was working on. And then I showed him what I was working on, and he sent me like a few more, like pretty much all the beats for the album. He sent in one of these emails, and I was just like, I had him, and I was working on different things. I'm always working on like 3 or 4 projects, man. But then I had some like kind of downtime. My car was in the shop for like a week and a half, dude. So I was just like, chilling at home, and I was just, yo,
Nice.
let me get through these Orko beats. Like, because I had maybe 2 tracks, but they weren't going to be used for like a whole album with just Orko beats. I was like using them for different things. And then I was just chilling, and I was like, man, you know what? I'm about to just run through all these Orko beats. Like, I'm about to surprise the homie and just send him the project, you know? It's like,
Oh, dope.
so then one night I recorded like 3 joints, and then another night I recorded like 3. And I was like, oh yeah, now I'm gonna add those other ones I had. Yeah, boom, this is the project. Yo, I'm gonna use that artwork. This is the project for that artwork. You know what I mean? And kind of started trying to fill in spaces, kind of round it out, and just make it fully kind of connect with the artwork. You know what I mean? And yeah, I was like telling Orko like, yo, I'm about to drop. You know what I mean? Like, I'm dropping this shit, bro. He's like, what? For real? Like, yeah. Yeah, it's go time, bro. 619 too. You know what I mean? We're dropping. Me and you.
That was perfect time.
Man, Orko's like the big homie, like 100%, man. Like I said, when I was at that age of first going to shows and shit, Orko was already Orko, man. Like everyone fucking knew he was ill. Like he was already running shit, man, and he was a big inspiration too, man, of how I do, like even pushing the tapes and everything, man. Like I witnessed Orko sell so many fucking tapes and CDs right in front of my eyes, and just I was like, damn. He was the reason why I even started selling merch, man. Like when Access Hip Hop first opened up in San Diego, Orko was like, I was already making beats and shit like that, and kind of just wasn't really doing nothing with them. I was just making beats, trying to get them to rhyme on them and shit. And he was like, yo, put a bunch of those beats on a CD, and we're gonna go to Access, and you're gonna sell those. You know what I mean? And I was like, for real? So I was like, what? Yeah, I'm on it. You know what I mean? I'm still like 17, 18 years old at this time. I'm like, all right, let's do it. And, you know, he kind of introduces me to Mark at Access. Like, yo, he's part of Masters of the Universe. You know, I was like, oh, shit, word? Yeah, you know what I mean? And that was kind of like the start of me pushing merch, man, like that. I actually had a little beat tape before that, but, you know, it wasn't known really. It didn't even have a cover. You know what I mean? I was just trying to like, had like a pen writing on the shit. Like, man, that one was the first one. I was like, I tried to make a cover, and then I had track titles and shit, and that was the spark of the whole thing, man. Like, Orko really was like, yo, you can get money with this shit. You know what I mean? Like, yo, you sleeping. You know what I mean? So I was like,
taught you the ropes. Now, I definitely want to take time to give Orko his flowers, obviously, because you know, in the midst of your Nas and Dooms and all that, you know, the names over there, you know, we got to acknowledge these quote unquote underground MCs that birthed styles, right? Orko was running shit. I mean, it's documented if you do the knowledge. And the fact that, because let's be honest, we've talked about Kool Keith, we talked about LP and the just weird approach to the music. Orko is on some weird shit, and I love it. I mean, his delivery, you know, and he can go drum and bass, he can go boom bap, he can go, you know, just a bunch of different shit. So when I heard you, and I think I told you, when I first heard you guys were dropping something, I'm like, yeah, like we were talking about your weirdness in terms of rhyming and beats as well. But with his, you know, I didn't know what you guys were going to do. If it was a collab album, both rhyming, but this came out super dope, and it couldn't come out at a better time.
Wow.
You're looking out, man. You're looking out. Yeah, no, it was cool because I produced for Orko like over the years. So it's cool to like, we kind of switched roles and he produced for me. You know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, this is pretty cool. You know what I mean? Perfect timing, man. Cause yeah, like I said, I was the producer. I was producing for like 7, 8 years before I tried to really record a rhyme. You know what I mean? Like, it wasn't really something I was like a goal of mine was to rhyme. You know, I just kind of stumbled into it and was like, yo, take this shit serious if you're trying to rhyme. You know what I mean? Just rhyme because you're already attached to a certain crew, and I could kind of come in under their stripes. You know what I mean? And come half-ass and try to ride off their shit. It was like, nah. I kind of put myself through the front line, the battlefield, and like I started really trying to like get my armor dirty. You know what I mean? Like, yo, like I got to battle. Who I got to battle? I got to lose some battles. I got to win some battles. I got to get into it, man. I got to take this shit serious. And I was doing that for years before I was like, all right, I'm about to put out a CD. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be upholding the crew name like that, man. I felt like I kind of reached the point where I was like, all right, I'm a solid member of the crew now. You know what I mean? As far as being an MC,
Solidify your shit.
yeah,
Yeah.
I felt like I got to. Like, I feel like I owed it to them. Like, yo, this is me hanging around you all these years. Like, I was soaking it up, man. I didn't take none of that shit for granted. And so all the homies, like everyone from that crew, man, like taught me something, man. And I'm trying to like return the favor of just putting my best foot forward, repping the crew still, and trying to do what I can to shine light on other homies when I can. You know, like it ain't just for me, man. Like when if I get any type of mention, man, it's immediately like passed on to them, you know, and pay homage to the crew because they're why I'm like this. You know what I mean? Like if people don't like me, like blame them. You know what I mean? Like they brought me into it.
Yeah. You can tell, you know, that's why we're asking you questions, right? Because there's so much that you put out on your projects that we can tell you pull from different areas. It's fucking 8 already here. I know it's late out there. We normally run for an hour, and an hour goes super quick.
Yeah.
So we humbly appreciate you coming on, brother, and maybe we can do this again because I mean I can talk to you for hours. There's so much shit. I can dissect the full album with you for 2 or 3 hours at a time. But just to wrap it up, tell people where they can find your shit.
Man, yeah, my stuff's like streaming everywhere too, man. But like, go to my website, redlotusklan.com, and tap in with me through there, man. Like, cut out the middleman, just hit me direct, you know. Like,
yeah,
all my music's there, all my merch is there, and
straight to the website.
Yeah, come to my website, man. RLK, you know what I mean. I'm gonna keep pushing shit, man. Me and the rest of the crew got more stuff coming, you know what I mean, and just. Master Universe we got more stuff coming with that too, you know what I mean?
Right.
I hold down both crews, man, and I'm keep pushing all that, you know, and tap in, like bump the new album. I got a ton of other music. If you just finding out about me, like I've been out here, so I got plenty more stuff to dig through. You know?
So a couple things I want to say before we get out of here. I want to say, first of all, salute to everybody in the chat who's fucking holding you down, yo. The fucking San Diego was deep.
Yeah.
Deep.
Yeah, that's deep. Yeah, man. Shout out to everybody.
I noticed that. Yeah, people are holding you down.
Holding it down. They held you down, yo. So salute to San Diego. The other thing I want to say is, I fucks with your family, and I'm gonna say this. It's weird. Even the shit that I don't fuck with, I fuck with. If that makes sense. Like I fucks with you. So
word.
Because I'm like, yo, it is. You know what I'm saying? You know, like. I fucks with it anyway, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah, no, I feel you. Yeah, man, I appreciate that, bro, because there's been a couple of times I'm like, man, if he tells me my shit trash, I got to hit the never that. You know what I mean? I'm like, bro, I just can't have homie tell me I'm trash, bro. Like,
never that. Nah, I fucks with you, yo, and you know what I'm saying? Like I said, even the shit, like, I don't, like, it's like, because it fucks with the weirds. I mean, we have a similar story, so we have to build one day. But like, and I just copped a fucking San Diego Go T-shirt because that shit that I like that's
dope.
Yeah. So I just got it. So I just wanted to say that, give you your flowers. Like, you know what I mean? If I fucking get struck by lightning, like I fucks with you, you fucking dope. So word.
Yeah, man, appreciate that, man, for real.
No doubt.
We're definitely gonna have to link up out here one of these shows soon, man.
Oh, word. Yeah, my family's in Connecticut, so I'll be up there all the time. So you know what I mean? Let the build. So. Yeah. Fucking Scvtterbrvin. I've been waiting for this.
Scvtterbrvin in the motherfucking house.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Thanks for having me, man. I don't even have to tell you. I mean, I've been rocking with you. I'm glad Tamal rocks with you. And just so you know, because we're fucking picky as fuck for music. You know, Tamal, you know, we've talked about drumless shit. And maybe next time we come on, if we do come on, we talk about that approach too. But again, brother, we appreciate you coming on, and we're looking forward to many more, albums to come out.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
We're built, man. Next time, I didn't know you was in New York until like fucking like last week. So, so next time I'll come through. We catch up, man. Link up in the physical. That's always important. So appreciate you, man. Appreciate everybody in the build, and next week we back at it again.
Yep.
Right?
Definitely.
Oh man, for
We're back
real.
at it every Wednesday.
All right.
All right, y'all. Peace, man.
All right,
All
brother.
right.
Peace.
San Diego fucking one time.
All
Yeah,
right.
yeah. That's big.
All right.
That's how we do it.